So during the start of the pandemic, what I call my sister from another mother, Principal Tammy Taylor, and I started Create and Educate LLC. And the reason we started that platform, the platform we started was the collaborative. What we were seeing was that we were both educators, we were both educational leaders. We were hearing a lot from students, teachers, and parents, the complaints of, there's too much work being sent home. The parents didn't really understand how to work with their children. The children were frustrated. Everybody was frustrated, but no one was really talking to one another, just more about one another and pointing fingers. So we started the collaborative in order to minimize that, to bring everyone into the same space, and to bring awareness to what needed to happen during the pandemic in order for our students to best be educated with the help of parents and the educators that were sending them, the work that was needing to be done at home. In 20 years, I hope to have accomplished a lot. Definitely inspiring others, definitely an inspiration and example for not just my two daughters, but several other girls in the community and in other places that I work with, people that I mentor, educators that I mentor. But I really hope that I have made an impact on education and children. We have a program through Create and Educate called the Knowledge Academy for Girls, and it focuses on providing cultural relevant education specifically for girls, but we also work with a partner who focuses on African American males. We were able to raise our school report card grade levels, 2 grade levels in 1 year. A lot of the basis of that had to do with making sure that cultural relevant pedagogy, literacy, the knowledge was there for students. So we really have placed a great deal of that in our program, the Knowledge Academy for Girls. And the person that we work with, we're partnering for the young men, is doing the same thing for young men as well. It's so important for African American girls and males to understand exactly who they are. And a lot of times that is not taught in school. They see imagery that is, not very representative of who they actually are. They really don't know their true culture, true heritage, that so many things that are here in our culture was derived from the ancient culture of Africa. So when you know that, you operate differently. And when we really start to educate our children, they will know who they are and can come into their own. So in 20 years, I hope that several children have been inspired to be able to do.
Great Saturday, everyone. Good morning, Tammy.
Morning, Sheka. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Yes, and Mr. Ratchford is on. Great video. That video was produced by Higher Definition Radio, so we are very thankful for the work that you all do and the partnership that we have with you all. So thank you.
And it is a really good video. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you go and see the entire video. Higher Definition did a fabulous job. And speaking of Mr. Ratchford, we want to say kudos. He put on a fabulous Black History program last week at his church, Union Baptist Church. And R.E.A.L.L and our own Dr. Sheka Houston was one of the keynote speakers, and again did an incredible job. Both of them did an outstanding job. So awesome job, Mr. Ratchford. We really enjoyed being with y'all.
We did, and I enjoyed it and was honored to speak and just give the message that was given, and I'm glad it was well received. But welcome to the R.E.A.L. Academy. I am Dr. Sheka Houston, and my trustmate in education, Dr. Tammy Taylor, and I come to you every Saturday morning at 10:30 with information or best practices, things that can help educators, parents, community members, with our R.E.A.L. framework that we created that helped us improve our schools 2 and 3 report card grade levels in 1 year. And we can finally say now that the state has redone the list, that our schools are no longer on those state sanctioned lists. So kudos to
Praise the
both of those
Lord.
schools and their staffs and all of the hard work that went
Yes,
into that.
absolutely.
Our R.E.A.L. acronym stands for respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership. And with these strategies that we developed under each of those areas, those were the things that helped us to help our staff. So if you've been tuning in for the past few weeks, we have been featuring what you saw in our pre-show video, the Knowledge Academy for girls and boys, that is a part of something that we offer. You can start a chapter at your school or your organization, and I will put our link in the comments to where you can sign up to get more information on that. But we are using the paradigm that was created by Dr. Hudson Weems for Africana womanists and Africana men in order to inform the curriculum that we're going to be using with students in that program. The program won't start until August, but right now we're gauging interest. So once I put that link in, we definitely would like for you to sign up to get more information. Good morning, Principal Kafele and
Good
everyone
morning.
that is joining us. Josh, Miss Dot McKeever Jeter, Melissa, thank you all for joining us. I see September, Jasmine, and Dr. Roz, our family that I referred to last week when I put in the comments that we weren't going to be live, but we pre-recorded. So, where we left off last week, we finished up the male and female compatibility tenants, and now we are on characteristic 12. And that one is in concert with males in the liberation struggle. This is the 12th characteristic in the Africana womanist and man framework. So basically, what we would be teaching students intentionally is that there have been events and things systematically placed in social structures in our society that has pitted African American men and women against each other. So we will teach them about that age appropriately for every level, and make sure they understand the strength behind the family unit and how important that is, as far as making sure that we're also working in our communities.
Definitely. And characteristic 13 is ambitious. And ambition and responsibility are two very highly important aspects of the life of an Africana womanist, because she is looked to and depended on so much by her family. And according to Dr. Hudson Weems, what she says is that the men in our lives, our brothers and our uncles and our cousins, see their mothers and grandmothers and sisters and aunts. They see them making a way out of no way. Because when it seems like a woman's back is against the wall, it is, and it looks like things are completely over, you see how God continues to make a way for her to escape that tribulation or whatever is up against her. So being ambitious is a very important characteristic because it just speaks to the fact that the Africana womanist is resourceful at all times.
And characteristic 14 is being a flexible role player. So when we are working with our young men and young women in the Knowledge Academy for girls and boys, what we do is make sure that they know, in a family structure, you kind of have to get in where you fit in. It's not necessarily that you belong to a specific role, but if you see that your parents are making dinner, then you set the table. or you wash the dishes or you clean up afterwards. And in this day and time, if you're like me and picking up food a lot, after you've picked up food and everyone has eaten, you still make sure things are put away in their proper places afterwards, that your parents are not having to clean up after you. When things are over with, but we really try to dispel a lot of that gender specific role type of indoctrination, and that, when you see a need in your home, you feel the need.
Exactly. And we were talking a little bit about that yesterday in a meeting at work, because what we are trying to help parents to understand is it's nothing wrong with giving a level of responsibility and a role in the home to your
Hmm.
child,
Hmm.
because what a lot of parents you hear today say, especially younger parents, are saying, well, I don't want them, I had to do this and I had to do that when I was at home, and I just don't make my kids do chores, and I just don't believe in that. I think that I want them to be free to do what they want to do. And what we were trying to say is, like, those roles sometimes are what helps to build character. When I was
Hmm.
10 years old, I was washing clothes for the whole house. Like, this is a part of how to make this house work. You have a single mother who is working, so this has to be done. So I think that that is spot on, Sheka. I'm going to combine characteristics 15 and 16, and they are respected and recognized. And as Shika said before, Dr. Hudson Weems actually claims that before we can love and respect others, we first have to recognize that there is the need to respect and care for ourselves. Um, the Africana womanness actually will demand respect from others because she has such a strong sense of self, and she has positive relationships with others, and in turn that enables her to demand the respect that she deserves, and that gives her too that ability to reciprocate that love, respect, and recognition to others, and have no problem doing so.
Definitely. And the same thing with our African American males. And that falls right in line with our acronym, which that first R is for respect. So the characteristic 17 is developing a genuine sisterhood or brotherhood. And in schools, we see a lot of children have conflicts that they don't know how to work through. They're back and forth with friends. This week I'm friends with this person, this week I'm not. This week I got a new friend. But we really have gotten away from, I think, in schools, a lot about teaching children what is the definition of a good friend. How do you recognize when someone really is your friend? How how would you be if you are a good friend, how to be a good friend. And so when we teach children these things, then they start to understand, because the things that they see on television, especially with some of our reality television shows, with the people bickering back and forth, or some of those bad girl and housewives shows, really displays toxic behavior that people have started to think is normalized. So we don't want children to feel like those types of relationships are the relationships they want to have with one another. And again, this still falls under respect, and making sure that community is built in your classroom, and then they will take that outside of the classroom, hopefully home, and within their communities as well.
Yes, and then finally, characteristic 18 is authenticity. And what I love about this characteristic is it's the characteristic that gives us permission to be us. I'm free to be me. I can show up as who I am every single day, and it's up to the people around me to embrace this authenticity. or to shy away from it. And I'm good with it. Like whichever way you go with this is fine with me. But as an authentic being, my standards, what the way that I act, my ideals, anything that is a part of who I am is dictated to me only by my culture, only by my history, only by who I am, because I don't owe anybody anything other than to be uniquely me.
Mhm.
And because of that, my essence can complement the culture that I come from. And I don't ever need to ask permission to be who I am. And I'm free just to be me. So kudos for authenticity. And I hope everybody walks away being their authentic selves.
Most definitely. And again, that still falls under, I think, respect and leadership from our framework. But I'm going to share my screen so you can see on our website the information about the Knowledge Academy for girls and boys. And we are formatting this where you would be able to start a chapter at your school or your organization, and you would be provided training on how to institute the curriculum within the program at your school or organization. But it is single gender. One, the boys and the girls are separated. And so that helps us be able to speak to specific topics that deal specifically with each group that they are able to feel more comfortable and a little bit more vulnerable to be able to ask questions and to learn how to just form that community with one another as well. We do at the end have something where the groups come together in more of a cotillion style fashion. And that's our culminating ending ceremony. But that does teach them about that coming in concert that we talked about. And so there's a whole section that goes along with that. But on the website, you can see that we have our program focuses as well as the grade spans. But if you are interested, if you would go to the link, and I'll put it in the comments now, and just fill it out to get more information, we will make sure we send you that information packet. And if you have any questions that we can answer now, you can also put those in the comments as well. But there's definitely studies that shows extracurricular activities are good for young men and young ladies. We sometimes at the middle and high school level always assume that students may gravitate towards a certain sport, but sometimes children may not necessarily be interested in a sport. So things like this would be good for any student to participate in. Again, especially when we're talking about that acknowledgement of who they are with their identities and being their authentic selves. And I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Tammy.
Just helping our youth to realize that they don't have to apologize for being who they are,
Hmm.
but also at the same time helping them to understand who they are. And it's Black History Month is coming to a close, and we've paid homage to Dr. Carter G. Woodson as the month was coming in, and we want to celebrate him as well as the month is. We're heading on our way out of the month because the principle of Sankofa is all about making sure that we learn from our past. We need to learn as we have new learning, as time passes, we continue to move forward, but the knowledge of the past can't be forgotten. So we need to help our youth to understand who they are because of where they've come from and who they've come through. So these are opportunities to help us to pour into young people and to each other, because we don't all have the same level of understanding about who we are. And Lamont said this last Saturday that sometimes we use the term kings and queen um, loosely, but
Mm-hmm.
really emphasizing what we mean by that. When Arcella said good morning queens, guess what? I know she means good morning queens. She
Mm-hmm.
knows that we are from a line of queens. So we want to make sure that our kids understand as well who they are and where they've come from.
Most definitely. And also, where we know that this type of information would help children feel like they belong, which is lacking in a lot of schools around the country, as we are seeing the behaviors of children change a lot. And not only belong, but also helping to inform their decision making skills, which I don't know if we can get enough of. But one thing that I'm very proud of with raising my own daughters is they're very comfortable with who they are and being their authentic selves. When I take their braids down, they always want to wear their hair loose, and they call it the poof. The day that we're having our hair appointment to get it rebraided, so they're very comfortable with their natural hair. They wear it to school in the poof that they call it, and are just really comfortable in their own skin. So we want this for all children, because no one should feel, you're spending the majority of your time in a place, you shouldn't feel like you don't belong there. So, and Josh, kids don't know, um, do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is exactly right. So, thank you
And
all
it's
for.
got to be frustrating to spend a considerable amount of time in a place where you feel like a stranger, like
Mhm.
you have nothing to connect with, and you can't even connect with yourself because you don't know exactly who you are and what's there for you to connect to. So,
Exactly. But thank you all for tuning in and your comments. Next, we will have tune in with Principal Kafele. He has a special guest, Mr. Robert Jackson, that's going to be on with him. Tomorrow, Dean and Josh will be on, as well as Principal Hurt, who is doing professional development today. That's why he wasn't on this morning. And if you haven't seen the collaborative where we interviewed Mr. Assistant Principal Rod Fluellen from Columbia, South Carolina, you can go back on our page and any of our platforms on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter here to see that. He gave a lot of great information about how he's keeping it real at his elementary school.
yeah.
And tomorrow I will be on with Higher Definition for a show, Healthy You. So I'm excited about that. We're going to be talking about health and wellness. So we hope that you all enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and hope to hear from you about getting more information about the Knowledge Academy. Thank you.
Good morning.